Hello and welcome to Art Watch on KONR. I'm your host, Thomas Higgins, and today we are speaking with Ann Reddick and David Haynes, and together they are Once a Year Theater Company. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks, Thomas.
We're here talking about Ann's new play, Project Petoskey, and the stage reading at the City Lords Theater Friday, May 11th and Saturday, May 12th at 7:30. But first, who is David Haynes, Ann Reddick, and Once a Year Theater Company, and how might our listeners seen or heard of you in the past?
Oh, golly. Once a Year Theater Company came to be in 1995 with 6 Degrees of Separation over at Cyrano's. We've been doing theater for a while, but we decided to become a company. And that's when we got our business license and got down to business, and we operated under Arctic Moon's umbrella.
It averaged out to one production a year, so hence the name. Soon after that, we did Nonsense at Cyrano's, which was well received. And we did You're in Town, I think was 2 shows ago. The last thing we did was 2 years ago at the Wildberry Theater. We did Good Evening with I and John Fraser did that and directed it.
And our buddy...
Oh, Rob LaCrone. So we've done... It's averaged out to about once a year, except for the last few years because of Ann's Project Petoskey, what it's based on.
I was in Petoskey, Michigan a lot the last 4 years. My parents retired to Petoskey maybe 22 years ago, and were busy in retirement with the community. My father was mayor pro tem, and my mother was president of the Little Travis Historical Society and the museum. She was the honorary chairman of the public library in Petoskey. It's just a terrific town in Michigan, in upper lower Michigan. And as with everyone, they got older and things started not being quite right in Petoskey, and my brothers and I had to go back from Alaska and Virginia and Arizona and try to make it work with my parents in their house until it couldn't work anymore.
So as Ann was doing this, to help keep her sanity, she wrote emails to the family, and she at some point she started calling them Project Petoskey Day 1 Project. So she hadn't been able to she's really a playwright, and she hadn't been able to do that for the last 4 years. So to help her deal with, her parents died in January, to help her deal with this, she, I think, decided to put those emails and make them the basis of this play. So there's a lot of that is in the play, but there's some new stuff too.
So, Ann, this is, I've seen many of your short plays in Alaska Overnighters and the likes. Is this your first attempt at a full length?
No, I've written lots of full-length plays. The Overnighters are convenient and terrific because they only take 24 hours. So no matter how busy I am, I can take the time and do the Overnighters and know I can get some writing off. It's like the house is burning, and what are you going to take with you? So I've really enjoyed being part of the Overnighters here in Alaska.
Ann was a longtime participant in the Valdez Theater Conference. I think we started going the second year, and she's had many contributions to that. Because of several factors, she hasn't been able to submit for the last few years. So
This project is just since the first of the year, more or less, so this is not part of the theater conference this year?
No, this was a mission, a personal mission. This is me getting through my grief and my anger. But I don't want to misguide people because, they think, oh, old age, oh, who wants to see a play on that? This really is about my family, and my family's pretty funny, and it's got lots of music in it. Although in the end, it is the end. It's just a lovely hug of my family, and I think people would like to see it.
I see from the press release that you are having a collection for the Alzheimer's Resource of Alaska.
Yes.
I'm imagining that was part of the issue with your parents.
Yes, my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I guess it was 2010. I went for all summer. I was there all summer, and that was when they had to move out of their house. And my father no longer knew who I was, and he wasn't with us anymore. And my mother was having issues, so she couldn't control this tall, skinny guy that was just bent on moving furniture and taking off on 3-mile hikes without Mom along.
His character in the the play is named Raven because her father liked shiny objects, and he'd grab them and hide them somewhere. So they started calling him Raven.
We were packing out his closet, and the last box in the bottom back corner, underneath that was 4 sets of keys to the PT Cruiser. We couldn't find a set of keys to the car, and Dad, for whatever reason, decided it was better for him to be the only one who knew where the keys were. So, Alzheimer's is not pretty, but you're going to deal with somebody that has Alzheimer's at some point in your life, and maybe it's better to have a hint or maybe a little better understanding. They're people too, darn it.
As a playwright, Anne, what are you expecting to get out of the reading?
This isn't normal for a playwright. No, normally the playwright would be in the audience listening and hearing what needed to change with or what worked with the script. But for this particular reading, I asked David, my beloved husband, if he would read my mother. And so he's Betty. He's Big Mama. And I'm playing myself in this play. I'm playing Anouk of the North, Anouk. So that's not normal for a playwright. So out of this particular reading, I'm just wishing to get this out. It's been so bottled up. Just get all of this out. But it's good. We've been working on this for 3 weeks with cast members, and it's magical. So maybe this goes forward. I think this is the best writing I've ever done.
You said it's music. There's songs, so is...
Yeah, it's a play with borrowed music. My family just would burst out in song, and they did everywhere at any event, in the car. If somebody said one keyword, the whole family would be in harmony. And so that's kind of the way I wrote the play, is that certain things would happen, and boy, there comes the songs. And some of them are inappropriate.
Yes, we'll be having selections from West Side Story, Cabaret, and of course, On Top of Spaghetti, all covered with cheese. So we run the gamut.
Well, let's try it then. I wish... I expected you to break in. I wasn't Oscar my wiener.
No. Oh, we had to give us... But don't bump. Try us again. We're really good at this. Come on, try us again.
So it's borrowed music, so it's there's no gore to it at all. It's just...
No, but if the script was to go forward, the time would be to get a composer, a partner on the script, and put in original music. Right now we're using music that my mother loved. My mother just sang all the time. And musicals, she and I were musical nuts, and my daughter's a musical nut, and my husband's a musical nut. So if we came across something that we felt, Married from Cabaret, David and I were that couple that sang Married in Cabaret over at Mad Myrna's a few years ago. But it's been sung at every wedding in my family. It's been at every anniversary. My mother sings it to my father. It's just part of the family. So it just happened to be from Cabaret.
So if your family that's from years back, how did you know? What was the change in your father that really took concern?
Well, what was sad, we're all so far away from Petoskey. You get to Detroit and it's a 5-hour drive north. And it's very expensive to fly into Petoskey. So you fly into Detroit and rent a car and go up I-75. And I swear, after this summer, I'm never going to drive up I-75 ever again in my life. But my dad was hidden by my mother. My mother's a very strong-willed person. And so she knew there was things wrong with Dad, so she just hid him. They just pretty much decided to camp out in their bedroom and let the world keep the world on the outside. So nobody knew what really was going on with my father until it was their 60th anniversary in New York City. We had a big party. We went to the church around the corner that they got married in Manhattan. And my dad was really frail then and not quite with it. After that trip, my mother went in the hospital for something wrong with her heart. And at that point, everything was exposed because my father was there alone and he couldn't do anything. So I think the hardware guy put him in a car and took him home, but my dad would have been outside freezing to death because he didn't know what to do. He didn't know where his wife was. So that's when it was like, oh, Dad's gone. Okay.
So it was the community that recognized it because the kids were away in their own lives at this point.
Exactly.
And they were a big part of the community. I would go back every summer with Ann. I've been doing that since 1993 probably. And, he was mayor, he was a councilman. They were very integral part of the community. So it was when we go back after he was stricken with the disease, it was very touching to see them reach out to him. We'd go to restaurants that he'd gone to before and stuff. And they were so solicitous, and they were very loved in their community. So that was a very important thing, that they did take care of him somewhat.
So we know who's playing Mom and who's playing Anne, or Nanook of the North.
And Nook.
And Nook. Oh, I'm sorry.
And
I'm sorry. I'm pun impaired.
Unimpaired.
Yes.
My dad, Raven, is being played by Van Horn
Ely.
the Third, who's terrific. And my husband's being played by Richard Benavides, and he's terrific. And my eldest brother, JC, is being played by John Fraser. And my middle brother being played by Rodney Lamb. And we have Denise Jewell doing several parts, plus being the stage reader. And
Eric Brahman.
is reading some of the townspeople parts and singing with us. So.
And Vicki Russell is staging the production. We want to emphasize that admission is free. There will be opportunities to donate to Alzheimer's Resource of Alaska. It's not any of these donations suggested. It really is that admission is free. And if you want to donate, you can. If you don't, no big deal.
Come and hear it.
Yeah.
We'll ask for your comments.
There will be an after talk afterwards?
No, there won't be an after talk because I'm pretty sure I'll be in tears at the end. But we are putting out comment forms so that we can hear from people.
Will that comment form include some type of email address as well? Because it sounds like this is a type of play you'll be thinking about well after you leave the theater. So
Wayne Oldford's going to man the once a year theater table out in the lobby, and we'll have something there for about once a year, and it has our email addresses and such. So yeah, reach out and touch us. We're back. Once a year theater is back.
okay, and on that note, I think, unless there was something else.
Nope.
Okay, well, on that note then, this has been Art Watch, and we've been speaking with David Haynes and Ann Riddick, and together they are Once a Year Theater Company, and we'll be presenting a stage reading of a new play by Ann Riddick,
Petoskey.
Project Petoskey.
Petoskey.
Project Petoskey.
Project Petoskey.
The Petoskey Project.
Yeah.
It comes off my tongue better that way. Petoskey Project. Friday, May 11th, Saturday, May 12th, both nights 7:30 at the Sidney Laurence Theater at the Alaska Center for the Performing Arts. There is no charge for admission, but donations will be accepted for the Alzheimer's Resource of Alaska.
Thanks, Thomas.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Thank you.